And we've got this latest article up at prisonplanet.com. I tell you, Paul Watson is just on fire over there. Big Sis wants behavior scanners at sporting events and malls. And she's also announced she wants TSA checkpoints. They've already been beta testing it. I told you it was coming. Now it's all over the news. DHS seeks to read maltint at interrogation checkpoints. Now, they just had one of these behavior experts, as they're called. That's in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, accused of kidnapping a woman. And they did get to his house and catch him. And he is a behavior detection officer. So I guess they'll take the people that think they're God or beat on their chest and say, I have power, or a TSA employee based in Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport tried to kill himself after allegedly abducting a woman, sexually assaulting her, then giving her a suicide note. She was in the little outfit that he'd put her in and had the, what do they call it here? They call it the leopard pattern novelty handcuffs. Where the sexual assault occurred, she escaped to the police department with a note from him saying he was going to commit suicide. And, I mean, I'm not kidding. It says the bound woman who was still bound in leopard print novelty handcuffs. So I guess this guy isn't a god, though, or he'd be getting away with this. So that's the new behavior controllers we're going to have. Big Sis wants behavior scanners at sporting events, malls. And, of course, they're also rolling out the 500 mobile scanners looking through your walls. And they have the National Guard out affecting 2,000-plus arrests in New York State alone. That's Fox News, driving people under scanners while they're in it. But, you know, the government just waves a magic pixie dust wand like the Tooth Fairy and says, there's no radiation here. Everything's fine. You don't need a parachute to jump out of an airplane now. We say so. You don't need water to live in the desert. You know, you'll live forever. We're the government. We say so. Look, we hired obese goons to stick their hands down your pants. We say so. Homeland Security Chief Janet Napolitano admitted yesterday that body scanners would eventually find their way into U.S. public transport, trains and boats. Big Sis is already trailing technology that goes even further. And I guess that's a British term. Sometimes he puts British isms in these articles. I don't understand. Big Sis is already trailing technology? We might want to call Watson and have him change that to testing, because I don't really get it. You know, Ron Paul is not only an economist. Ron Paul is not only a doctor. Ron Paul is not only a baseball player. Ron Paul is also a spell checker and English teacher. We got a nice email this morning thanking us for the article about Ron Paul being groped that's on Drudge, because he's very angry about them groping him, but telling us that proper English is rein in, R-E-I-N, or how do you spell it, versus reign with a G, which means reigning. So Ron Paul is now spell checking or doing the English on our articles as well. That guy literally works 18 hours a day, folks. No exaggeration. He's 75 now, isn't he? I mean, how does Ron Paul do this? In fact, let me actually go to my article and show you what he spell checked. Also, Watson wrote an article about this guy, you know, basically saying down with Big Sis on his back and stripping down to Speedos. And then they're telling him, put your shirt back on. Well, you're about to see me naked anyways. See, that's about people taking power and taking control back over their lives by illustrating the absurdity of them naked body scanning you and groping you. It's a lot less absurd to just strip down into your underwear. And then they still will pat you down even if you insist. They're so crazy that they're letting people do that. Oh, yeah, strip down. Yeah, we had the reign, like a reigning king in there, and it's actually R-E-I-N. His quote, and insist we rein in the TSA. Oh, man, you know it's crazy when Ron Paul's spell checking our English. He's like our English teacher now. You got to admit that's funny. Maybe now that Ron Paul has noticed these top, but you know what? Our writers are awesome. They're writing so many articles with so much key info. You're going to have stuff like that in there. But I don't get Big Sis is already trailing technology that goes even further. By forcing Americans to undergo a behavioral interrogation before they're allowed to enter sporting events, rock concerts, and shopping malls. They've already ordered hundreds of these giant mobile 18-wheeler trailers with brain scanners and body scanners, they admit, rolling out, and it says to get in a concert or a football game. Again, this is a joke. You know, I got invited out to KSCO, great station out in Santa Cruz, and they said, what kind of security you want? And I said, 1 cop. And then they said, well, the police don't get paid here in Santa Cruz. So then the police still showed up, the sheriff's department, a bunch of security, and they wanted to do pat-downs for people going in. They were real nice, but I was like, please don't do this. They're like, we must do it. We must do it for your safety. And you know what? I was like, no, do not do it. Do not do it. I do not want them to be patted down. I do not. I want to live free, outside of fear. You can't protect me. I had a much better chance of dying driving around on those windy roads from Northern California, where I was up there doing an investigation in the days before I gave the speech. Almost had probably 15 head-on collisions in the rain and the wind, the high. They were having bad weather while I was there, driving down these windy roads with cars coming out of their lanes. I mean, you're going to have a TSA guy there, you know, standing in the middle of the lane to make sure I don't wreck. I mean, the world is dangerous. Anyways, they were great folks. I'm not complaining. The point is, I'm complaining about the radio station. I was complaining about 20 cops to protect me and acting like I was the president and grabbing me and carrying me in, you know, up to the podium each time. I was having to hide. I'd try to go to the bathroom. They'd be following me. I mean, a lot of them were fans, but it's just crazy. I want freedom, okay? I mean, I don't need a TSA person in my pants to keep me safe. Literally, government in your pants. But this is an incredible article. I think the tighter we get on aviation, we have to also be thinking about going on to mass transit or the trains or maritime, so that we do need to be doing to strengthen our protections there, said Napolitano. And Pistol, the head of the TSA, said the same thing. Mobile X-ray scanners have already hit the streets with more than 500 backscatter X-ray scanners. He just goes through it all. I mean, you think they're going to stop with pulling your colostomy bag off or pulling your artificial breast off from breast cancer or sticking their hands in your sutures or groping your 2-year-old? That's the beginning. They want to take your blood to get a driver's license. They want to take your blood at checkpoints. They take your baby's blood for 39 years at birth. NOAA in Oklahoma during National No-Fly, No-Grope Day. Welcome, NOAA.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate everything you do for us, and thank God for that senator you just had on.
Congressman, yeah, he's a great guy.
Congressman, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. I just wanted to give you a quick tip and all your listeners about, you know, how you've been talking about the unhygienicness of the, you know, they're using the same gloves to check everybody. Well, my grandma just died of MRSA. And people don't realize how serious MRSA is.
That's right. Much worse than crabs or things like that is flesh-eating bacteria.
Yes, and she not only that, but my father was actually taking care of her, and now he's got it. It's that contagious. I mean, he's pretty, you know, tries to take care of himself, but when you're
No, this is a point I've made for months and asked our great writers to do stories on, but WorldNet Daily did it, and finally it's getting attention. But we need a story about MRSA, flesh-eating bacteria. You know it's being spread by the airports, and a story in the same article about taking your shoes off, where thousands of people are from all over the world picking up all of their bacteria and all of their fungus. This is disgusting. And the government, who always obsesses during flu season about washing your hands and all this, they're not spraying stuff on the floor. They're not mopping it every time because they don't care. It's a disease factory.
Exactly. And it's so serious that right now my father's trying to find some help that, I mean, even the doctors are, you know, kind of trying to downplay it to not scare the public. But, I mean... I can
see the headline now. Is flesh-eating bacteria being spread through airports? Then you show the statistics of record numbers of flesh-eating bacteria spreading. Then you point out the bacteria and fungus from where thousands walk through from all over the world in the dirty airport. I mean, it just goes on, and then them going, and then you take the quotes with the TSA talking about going under the fat rolls and all of the dead skin and toe cheese that's under there, and they have whatever term you use for that, the detritus, and they're just smearing it all over. I mean, this is disgusting.
It really is. Well, I just wanted to give people that tip and just be sure that when you go, you better bring some kind of silver or oil of oregano or something. But the other point I wanted to make was I called last week about having the Info Warriors call into Saturday programs to reach a targeted audience. They've got Richard Land. He's got a program on Saturdays, and I know it's a small program, but he's pretty big in the Southern Baptist Convention. And that guy, for years, I've listened to him every Saturday, and he's such a Bush bot, or he was. But I'm telling you, he went through the pat-downs at the TSA, and that guy has came around. He admitted on air, and I called in. I encourage
there's nothing like having some guy stick his hand down your pants to make you angry.
Exactly. And so I took my own advice. So I called into a show, and I was able to talk to that guy without being cut off.
No, I agree. People should hit the regional shows, the specialty shows, and reach millions. Good points. Good job there, Noah. Let's go ahead and go to some more calls here. Let's talk to George in Connecticut. George, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. I thought of another way of upping the ante for these characters. Why not use every opportunity that people have to go to the airport, basically handing out flyers while you're in those lines and everything, that not only to the passengers about the dangers, the actual scientific dangers of the scanners and the biological possibilities of contracting whatever the heck you want to list, but also to the actual TSA guys and say, look, guys, you're more vulnerable than we are. Your hands are all over the place. You just because you have rubber gloves, because you're next to the scanners, drive them crazy. And then one other thing, take it home demonstrations for the private jets at the airport. Good example, Westchester Airport, right on the borderline, where all the Soros and Clinton and all these guys fly out of, because it's right on the border.
That's right. Turdos lives right there, yeah.
Yeah, and they both live in Bedford, just above Greenwich, so, I mean, the Beverly Hills of our area. Anyway, if you hit that airport and say, look, why is it that we have to go through this crap and they do? Now, these Saudi princes who funded this stuff, they could fly in one of their private jets with bombs and everything like that and blow up the whole friggin' airport. I mean, what's the sense of doing this?
Exactly. Expose the hypocrisy, expose the fraud. We beat them on this issue. We beat them on all the issues. That if they can sell this absurdity, the sky is the limit. Great points. I appreciate your call, George. I want to say this right now about this whole situation and what we have going on with the TSA. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This is the big fight. This is a lot bigger than just the TSA. It's about out-of-control federalization. It's about being radiated. It's about the government violating your space. It's about them selling absurdity and creating a pretext to totally take over our society. At Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, you better believe the circus that is the TSA molestation as they try to impart this mass mental illness of paranoia that there are all these terrorists wanting to get us so they can then set the precedent to put TSA into every airport, every bus terminal, every train station, every highway, every mall, every school. It's all being announced. They're going to be everywhere. As we warned you, Big Sis is now laying it out. But I wanted to make this point before we go to Tarpley. There's all these articles out today. Airport security moving smoothly despite opt-out day. And the message is, you failed. People aren't trying to slow down the airports. Some have said that's their goal. The goal is to say no and not use your machines. But it's not just opt out. We're saying don't put your hands on our genitals. Then it's, oh, we'll try to charge you $11,000. That's if you leave the area. So you sit there and you argue with them. You come 2 hours early. You educate them. You resist. Fox News, all of them are like, oh, go ahead and submit. Don't slow down the airports. NBC says 98% in the poll, love it. But other polls that are scientific show 61, 72, 96% against. On the street, it's got to be 90% against it, what I'm seeing. So there's this hoax because they know if they can make you submit to this, they can do anything. Now, already in El Paso a few months ago, they said everyone will be put to the naked body scanners. The TSA admits the Chicago Tribune. They plan on making everyone do it. And so, yes, during big peak times, they always open up the regular lanes and don't put everybody through the scanners. Most of the airports don't have them yet. Austin gets theirs next month. And I ain't going through, and nobody's putting their hands on my genitals. Got it? I'm not a terrorist. Your bosses that run this country stage the terror attacks. I've got the evidence. And you're funding the other extremist. The government's on record protecting the underwear bomber. Anwar al-Awlaki's hanging out at the Pentagon.